like sort of
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
crosses.
Well, what's
the
wild
voltage.
about that is that you can't see the blue. It's like polarized lights almost. Like you can't see the blue from the side, but the dude down on the ground, like it's like you see the sun, you know, you're all the way up at high altitude, and then if there's a dude under the sun, he's seeing complete blue sky. You're seeing black sky with the sun, but you guys are all like it's like a right angle triangle. Or
Yeah.
it's like a
Would you
triangle
say
between
then that, like, if you were to zoom out of that scenario and just imagine the two observers, it's almost as if the sun creates like a cone of influence from its position up high down upon the Earth. It's following that sort of notion of the crepuscular rays, you might say, and it's creating that field of blue over the top of it.
The sky is blue because of the scattering of the light. Yeah, so the higher altitude you go, you're not in so much atmosphere for that scattering to occur to your eye. So it's going to look black. You understand? It's just the amount of the blue is coming through more, right?
I get the logical argument, man, but like, what is it? The air itself, the atmosphere, is just sort of sucking out the red or something. I mean,
No, because
you see in full color.
blue has a shortest wavelength, so it scatters more. Yes.
Scatters more. I don't know.
Yeah. Scattering, right? And then
rarely scattering, but the globe explanation is always kind of leaves you wanting. It just leaves you. It's like just doesn't really say much.
That's what I said. I'm glad you said that. I like that. I've always said this. One of the first times I met flat earthers, I said, "You guys, you want these really grandiose, like odd, mystic kind of stuff, magical kinds of words that for explanations." But
well, now you're just ad homing. No, now you're
It's
just ad homing. What's interesting is what's true. Just the truth. So just to say the word scattering is not very descriptive, and it doesn't really give very much.
It's actually the science that has
exactly
all the incantations and mesmerizing words. So I don't know what you're referring to, man.
Like how you just said. Like how you just went, you said you were giving a dissertation a while ago. You were saying, is it the corpuscular rays with the bending of the refraction? You started to say a bunch of concepts that were unrelated.
Like if the sun is a point position light source in the sky and it's projecting down upon the Earth, and we've got diverging rays, it implies that it creates a cone-like structure of influence around its field that it creates.
Exactly.
Hopefully
that's exactly what I'm saying. It's not that.
Oh, you mean like by cone light? I know, dude. We don't really. We're trying to have like a. I don't know, man. We know what the mainstream story is. We don't really need someone to just keep saying no, it's this other thing. I mean, if you have something to add that's like interesting or like, I mean, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying like we don't really want to just like debate the mainstream thing, you know? Like we understand what the mainstream says. We're trying to actually talk about what it actually is. Do you want to add to that part of it?
The mainstream thing is actually what it is.
All right. Well, then we already know that one. We want to talk about new ideas.
No. It's not new ideas. You want to see if you could spin something nicer words.
I think we've been kind of compelled into this because we're getting asked questions about, like, you know, how would this work on a flat Earth, essentially. So yeah, I mean, that's what's causing. You guys are trying to push it, actually.
No, we're not pushing. We're just giving you the facts. It's just the facts. That's all it is. It's just facts.
Got it. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, sun creates a cone of influence. Basically, it's like a torchlight up in the sky.
Oh yeah. So that's what I was going to respond to. So when you were saying that, did you mean like the idea of the light comes out from it in a cone shape, or did you mean, is that what you meant? Like the projection area of it?
It would seem so. Yeah. Because I mean, otherwise it'd be all parallel rays, and you'd literally have it'd be like a Jew weapon in the sky, just like focused down right upon one position on the ground, probably melting it as it goes round and round. So yeah, it's dispersed.
There's scientific terms for the scattering of light, so we could
talk about incantations, mate. You're casting spells.
Right. Not incant. You see, we can say the actual scientific words for the scattering of light. We can do that for you. Maybe that might be more
Sure.
tastier.
Then I don't have any specific problem with the Rayleigh sort of scattering criteria as the proposition for the sky being blue. I mean, I can't think of the alternative at the moment, but what is it? I guess, what is it? Yeah, isn't there like sort of gas particles that are excited at certain sort of energy states and they can emit certain colors, which then sort of, you get your blue to red as a consequence.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
No, I don't think anyone was saying that that's not a factor, ultimately. I'm just saying, like, if we had ChatGTP in here, it would just be saying all that stuff. So, like, we already know all that stuff is what I'm saying. So we know that's the explanation for it. I was bringing it up to Rakia because they were talking about the sun and the angular size and those components. So I was actually kind of just trying to, like, somewhat link it in there, that I wasn't even trying to shift onto the whole topic of it, although we could if we wanted. But I was just pointing out how at high altitude like that, how that effect is the case, where you can be seeing the sun with a black sky and you don't see the blue sky between the sun and where someone is, and they see the blue sky from where they are. So yeah, I mean, it's obviously a phenomenon that is what it is. What it means ultimately is that it's local to when you're on the Earth rather than up at altitude. So I was just linking it in because I didn't know if it was what Rakia was saying, but I thought in their conversation there was a discussion about how it appears on the ground, when it's all said and done, meaning when you're on the ground versus at altitude, and whether there's a difference or how, like, the actual parent sun, appears to us when we're actually on Earth.
Well, so the globe observation, isn't it, sort of something like this? The explanation for the observation of it not changing its angular size is because it's freaking huge and it's really far away. That's basically it. And we're just sort of putting forward that it might be a lensing phenomenon. And you guys are like sort of claiming incredulity, but you know that you're talking about a gas like balloon, billions and billions times the size of the Earth, and anything we have capability of comprehending within the human scale. And you, they're both pretty remarkable claims. I just find it rather curious that you guys are sort of, you find one to be incredulous and not the other.
No, because it's measured and tested.
So, well, let me explain why why I think one of them is more believable than the other. So, first off, we have multiple ways to tell how far away the sun is, and they all more or less agree, right? So there's different technologies and different techniques that agree on how far away it is. So there's reason to think it's that. I don't know of any reason to think it's not that far away. So secondly, there are sciences like spectroscopy, and if you believe in the Parker probe, then there are things that we do tests that that we can run that give us reason to think that the composition of the sun is like we're talking about.
Can I address the distance before you move on to composition and all that?
Go ahead.
You're the guy that 100 years ago, when they said the sun was 39 million miles away, you would be on Discord if they had it back then, going, "We know the sun is 39 million miles away."
Okay.
And we would still be going, "Yeah, but earlier when we did it this way, it was only 19 million miles away, or it was 3,000 miles away, or when you do this, you could be wrong in the future," and you're going, "Oh, no, it's proven. We've measured it."
Well, so we measured it, I can think of 3 different ways.
See, that's what I said. You're going to say, no, it's definitely 93 million miles away to the centimeter almost, or we can get you to the centimeter, at least to the moon, because we measure it this way today.
Well, we're measuring it different. Okay, so there's 3 different ways, 3 different methods by which that I can think of off the top of my head, by which we can measure the distance to the sun. Why? What would the reason be to think that that's not the case?
Because it's always changed in history, and it's probably always going to change in the future.
It's based on assumptions.
Yeah.
All of them have
I mean, I
foundational
don't know how
assumptions
easy
baked
that
in.
answer was for you.
What assumptions is the transit of Venus based on?
I think it's like a loyalty to modernity. Essentially, is what you guys do.
So
Like
Captain
the latest
Cook,
and greatest is always the rightest.
So Risky, you know who Captain Cook was, yeah?
No, I never met the guy.
You know who I'm talking about.
I'm familiar with the legend. Yes.
So you know that he was the first guy that I'm aware of to do a measurement of the transit of Venus to tell how far away the sun was.
Is this the same guy that went wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know what the specific figures are, but 60,000 miles around Antarctica or something.
He went to Antarctica and allegedly
he traveled a little bit too far. He must have gone around it a couple of times or something.
Whatever. I don't know. I don't know about that, but I know that he went to Tahiti and they measured the transit of Venus. So
on
this
holiday?
is not on holiday. No, they weren't on holiday. They were on a special. They were a special task force. No, they were a task force from the government. But in order for you to say it's all the latest and greatest and the modern technology, I'm shocked to hear that you think Captain Cook is modern technology.
I mean, that's just a story, man. My
No, it's not. It's not just a story. We've got records, and we have the records from the one that was done after that.
Dude, they've got graphs, Tarek. They've got graphs.
We've got Geo. We've got pictures. We've got diagrams. I mean, do you have
figures? Do you have figure A, figure B? Are there figures?
Yeah. Are you questioning the transit of Venus as done by Captain Cook?
So what is the transit of Venus?
Well, yes, I am.
I'm kind of curious.
Okay.
I don't want to. What is this transit of Venus? If anyone else is interested, I'd be down for the explanation.
The transit of Venus is measuring. It's essentially using a clever use of parallax you can see against the sun with a solar filter or the right kind of pinhole camera. You can see when the black dot, the sphere of Venus, which appears as a small black dot, touches the edge of the sun, moves across the sun, and exits the other side of the sun. If you have two locations that are observing it that are far enough apart, so one was in Tahiti and one was in London, and you have very good clocks, so you know what?
Why did he need to be in Tahiti for that?
Because he thought it was far enough away that you would be able to get a good measurement.
What?
Yeah, distance matters. Distance between the observers matters, and so they sent several to other places because it's weather dependent. So I think there was 6 or 8 sent out to South Africa and South America and Tahiti and across Europe. Yeah,
all at the same time?
To measure the length of time it takes for the sun for the Venus to transit across the face of the sun.
Was Omni doing such a bad job you had to jump in? Omni, I thought you were doing a great job, but don't they have to assume the distance to Venus?
No.
Yeah, I think
they assume. They assume Venus is a sphere, quote unquote, roughly the same size as Earth. That's one of the huge assumptions.
Not true.
Citation There's a whole list of assumptions that they.
Citation needed.
All right, I do have. There's tons of citations on this.
I'll read it.
There's tons of them, but I think even last time, just because this lists them out, I grabbed the screenshot and I still have it in my folder just that I can pull up quick. But it lists. That's just right, even just from the little Google AI thing. But it's a very well-known topic. There's many lots of information on it. Go ahead, Rakio.
Measure the angular differences in Venus's path across the sun. It's basically how it's done. Use trigonometry to calculate the distance between the Earth and Venus. Use the known distance between the Earth and Venus to calculate the distance between the Earth and the Sun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's curious.
Yeah, you have to know the distance.
So what makes you think? What makes you think that we don't have a distance between the Earth and Venus.
Well, I just said you have to know the known distance to Venus, and you said, no, that's not correct. And now you're asking me how. Now you're asking me this question.
So first off, you don't have to assume the size of Venus. What you have to do is
not what I said.
I know that was.
So are you going to address what I said?
The distance to Venus.
The known. Did you hear me when I read it clearly?
I kind of heard you.
Word
I kind of heard you.
Is that why you're spitting and sputtering and trying to go?
No, Rakia. No, I'm not. Listen, I get that. Yeah. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you said no, we don't have to know the known distance to Venus, and you said provide a citation, and then it took me like 2 seconds to read it off to you, and now you're spitting and sputtering.
No, I'm okay with that. I don't think that is an assumption.
This is how they claim to get. Hold on. This is how they claim to get what's called the AU, the astronomical unit. And yes, there's a whole list of assumptions. I posted that one little thing that's several. There are also many other citations that even go into much more detail than that. Obviously, that's just a little AI overview thing that I grabbed as a screenshot one day when we were talking about this, just to give the categories of them. But there's even more than those as well, and we could dissect each one of those. So it is based on, and it's even admitted. Okay, so there's several ways of they claim to measure the distance to the sun, but even in this one, since this is an older one, even in many of the sort of mainstream articles and things, they will admit that there were assumptions, but they happened to get it right, kind of thing, is what they'll say. Like they assumed it then, but they happened to get it right because now we've been out there and we're probing, we validated it, kind of thing. So that's why even they will admit, which is why even in that AI overview thing, it says right there, assumptions made in this method. That's why, because they admit to it.